who exactly is making the campaign for Gears of War 5? It's a topic of discussion these past week or so, driven by headlines in the media that Splash Damage, because of job listings on the website, are now the ones working on the campaign for Gears of War 5. And that has some Xbox fans a little bit nervous. So I wanted to talk about this, maybe run through a couple scenarios of why it could be true, but more than likely, it probably isn't. What is going on, guys? Randall Thor 19, the man with the million, back again with another video. And yes, me and Jez Corden, we talked about this on Wednesday a little bit on the Xbox 2 podcast, but a subscriber wanted me to go more in depth and soothe his fears that the Coalition hasn't abandoned the Gears of War franchise, so here I am. And, first you need to understand why this is newsworthy in the first place, right? If you go to Splash Damage's website, they are hiring for 16 positions for the Gears of War franchise. Now, that in and of itself is not news. They work on the multiplayer for Gears of War 4, right? They have done work for the franchise, and obviously they're continuing to do work on the franchise. Now, why are the headlines reading that Splash Damage is working on the Gears of War 5 campaign? Gears of War 5, job listing suggests sequel in development. Splash Damage possibly working on Gears of War 5 campaign. If you search, Gears of War 5 and Splash Damage into Google, it'll come up with a whole bunch of articles talking about how Splash Damage is maybe making the campaign. And one has to wonder, why is this the case? But first, before we even get into that, I kind of wanted to look at the history of Splash Damage to see if they're really even that good of a developer to be handed off the campaign for Gears of War 5, right? So Splash Damage, they were founded in 2001, and the first thing they worked on was the multiplayer for Return to Castle Wolfenstein. Then in 2003, Wolfenstein Enemy Territory. 2004, they did the multiplayer for Doom 3. 2007, they did Enemy Territory Quake Wars. 2011, they did Brink, which is what most gamers know them for. It was a critically panned game. A lot of gamers didn't like it, myself included. 2012, they did Rat Soldiers. 2013, they did the multiplayer for Batman Arkham Origins. 2014, they did Dirty Bomb. 2015, they did Tempo. And also in 2015, they did the Gears of War Ultimate Edition. 2016, they did the multiplayer for Gears of War 4. So that is basically what Splash Damage has done since they were founded back in 2001. As you can tell, they're kind of a developer for hire. They do a lot of multiplayer for IPs that they don't own. That seems to be what they're good at. And their own kind of games like Brink and Dirty Bomb and stuff haven't really done the best. Now, the reason why people ran with this narrative that the Coalition somehow isn't running the campaign for Gears 5 is twofold. One, the rumors of them working on Perfect Dark that started that Reset era. That kind of started this whole thing of oh, what are they doing? Two, Story Labs, if you recall, did a video about this. They said that they were working with a new IP from the Coalition. It got people thinking about what they could be working on until Microsoft, of course, the next day said that no, the Coalition is exclusively focused on the Gears of War franchise, so it shut down that dream. Now, you take those things in conjunction with a couple of the positions they are hiring here at Splash Damage, and it raises some eyebrows, right? So particularly, there are two positions that made people wonder what is exactly going on. So one is the cinematic lead. And this is what it reads when you click on the link in the webpage. It says, as a cinematic lead at Splash Damage, you will be responsible for planning, directing, and delivering high-quality in-game cinematics that will tie together gameplay and narrative through realistic acting, compelling action, and expressive dialogues. While the storyboard artist, which was available, a week ago and has now been filled, but of course you can always check on things that were posted on the internet, they're looking for an artist to create cinematic storyboards and concepts to help them build stunning and inspiring art for an upcoming title. You'll be inspiring the team and helping visualize the narrative while collaborating with the cinematic lead to ensure that the visual style and pacing is maintained, right? So people took all that because honestly, when I even read these job listings, narrative isn't something you think of when playing a multiplayer game. Neither is like high quality in-game cinematics in multiplayer, especially even in Gears of War. So that is what caused this onrush of articles talking about the campaign of Gears 5 being done by Splash Damage. They see that they've previously done work in the franchise. They see that they're hiring for a cinematic lead, a storyboard artist that talks about, tying gameplay together with the narrative, together with the rumor that Coalition's working on Perfect Dark or some new IP, and of course the ever journey of trying to get clicks for your website, and you end up with articles talking about how the Coalition has handed off the franchise to Splash Damage. Now, is that true? I don't know, but I'm going to take a look at a bunch of different scenarios here and kind of talk about which one I think is true. Now, we do know for a fact another Gears of War is coming. I mean, undoubtedly, you know this to be true, whether it's Gears of War 5 or something different, because Phil Spencer, head of Xbox, said so basically when he talked about Xbox Game Pass in his Xbox Wire post, remember? And this quote basically says, this plan to bring new games timed with their global release into Xbox Game Pass not only includes announced titles like Sea of Thieves, State of Decay 2, and Crackdown 3, but future unannounced games from Microsoft Studios, including new iterations of our biggest Xbox One exclusive franchises such as Halo, Forza, Gears of War on the same day they launch. So basically, Phil announced the next Gears of War, we just don't know what it is. So you know it's coming. The question is it Gears of War 5 or something different? Now, scenario 1 is that Splash Damage is just hiring people they need to continue on with their work in Gears of War 5. Nothing is any different about it. It's just business as usual. The Coalition is busy working on the campaign. They need people to help them out with the multiplayer and the Horde. And since they already work with Splash Damage on Gears of War 4, they are the obvious choice to continue working with. And all these positions are basically for that. Quite possible, quite likely. That is scenario 1. Now, scenario 2 is that, yes, the rumors are true. The Coalition is no longer working on the campaign. They have entirely handed off the franchise campaign stuff to Splash Damage. Now, if that were true, it does raise some questions. Why would the Coalition, the studio that Microsoft said were exclusively focused on Gears of War just recently, why are they handing off the campaign to what a lot of gamers would consider a B studio? To a lot of gamers don't really like Splash Damage or their games. There's the rumor that they're working on a new IP or Perfect Dark. And if that was true, if they are, in fact, handing off the franchise to Splash Damage, that would indeed free them up to work on a new IP or help more work out on Perfect Dark. So that is scenario 2. Now, I don't think that one is likely, mainly because you've already seen how this goes. Microsoft already has an example staring them in the face, and that example is Mass Effect Andromeda. We all know what happened with that. EA and BioWare decided that they would hand off the Mass Effect franchises to the B team, to the studio that basically had never made a game before. So while they were making Mass Effect Andromeda, the real BioWare could be making Anthem, which they just announced last year at E3. Of course, that came back to bit EA in the ass because Mass Effect Andromeda came in over budget and way past its, release schedule, right? It didn't sell as many copies as it should, and because of it, Mass Effect had to be put on ice. So Microsoft has a scenario of, there already is a scenario out there, real-world example in the video game industry of somebody hiring a B studio to continue on with the AAA franchise and it not working out. And I don't think Microsoft is dumb enough to have Splash Damage work on the Gears of War campaign by themselves. So I don't think this scenario's likely whatsoever. In fact, I think it's the least likely of all the ones I'm going to mention. Now, the next one that is possible, and I don't really see a lot of people talking about it, is Gears of War 2 10-year anniversary is this year. We already know that splash damage did work on Gears of War Ultimate Edition. So it's quite possible that the people they're hiring here are for this Gears of War 2 Ultimate Edition. It would be easy enough to pump out pretty quickly since you're just remaking a game. So you could have it out this year, and these are what these people are hired for. You know, and Microsoft needs games for Xbox Game Pass, and this would kind of fit that bill. Now, the other scenario is that Splash Damage is working on a spin-off of the Gears of War franchise. It's not the first time we've seen a spin-off of the franchise. Gears of War Judgment back in 2012, right before the end of the generation, was done by People Can Fly and not Epic Games. And of course, it was the worst-selling Gears, right? So that is possible. And honestly, out of all the different scenarios here, I think this one is the most likely. Because Gears of War 2, as much as some people would like Gears of War 2 remade, put in the Ultimate Edition, it was the least liked Gears of War out of the main three, Gears of War 1, 2, and 3. And honestly, since Microsoft didn't even bother to remake Halo 3 last year for its 10-year anniversary, the biggest game and the biggest franchise in Xbox history, and I know people will say, well, Rand, it's already in Master Chief Collection, and I know it is, but I'm talking give it the treatment that they gave Halo 2 with updated cinematics and multiplayer stuff, right? If they didn't even bother doing that for Halo 3, I don't really have a lot of faith that they would do that for Gears of War 2. So, in my opinion, I think all these positions here, this associate art director, cinematic artist, cinematic lead, lead technical artist, lighting artist, audio designer, all these positions right here are for help with Gears of War 5 multiplayer, but more importantly, I think the cinematic lead and all these other ones, a lot of these, are for a spin-off Gears of War title. So I think it's two things. I think they're hiring to be support for Gears of War 5's multiplayer once again, but more importantly, I think they're hiring to do their own Gears of War game, a spin-off in the franchise. Whether it's a Gears of War Judgment 2, that's basically Gears of War, plays like Gears of War, you know, or something different. Maybe an open world Gears of War, maybe an RPG Gears of War, maybe a Gears of War that plays completely different, right? I think that is what is going on here. I don't think for a single second that the Coalition handed off their baby to Splash Damage, because I don't think Splash Damage can do that. So that is what I think is going on here, guys. I think they're hiring to be support for Gears 5, and also hiring to bring us a new game in the Gears of War universe that is not a numbered franchise. And honestly, it all makes perfect sense to me. Microsoft needs games to sell Game Pass. Gears of War 5, in my opinion, isn't going to be coming out in 2020. So you can have a new spin-off Gears of War game next year. And it just adds value to Game Pass, which seems to be Microsoft's big thing here. I don't think the Coalition or Microsoft are stupid enough to kind of water down Gears of War 5, which is going to be the big one. But they do want to offer content to gamers on Xbox, and offering some sort of spin-off of Gears of War is at least the safe way to probably do that. So that is what I think is going on, and I want to see what you guys think. Are you guys down with the idea of a spin-off Gears of War made by Splash Damage, or would you rather see them remake Gears of War 2? Let me know all your comments below, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the like button, share it out on Twitter, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, if you're new to the channel, hit the notification bell so you're always notified when I drop new content. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. It means a whole lot to me, and I'll see everybody in the next video. Later, guys.